Good evening, everyone. It's your pain train pipe bomb meteorologist, Sean Matrai, and we have a lot to discuss about today about the current state of the weather. As you guys know, I do want to pull up one thing. Whoopsie. That's not what I wanted to do. Give me 1 second. All right. So the one thing I do want to pull up is the radar for a second, because we had get into the northeast for a second. Some very violent thunderstorms. You see where the red area is? Those are some very violent thunderstorms. Those are some severe storms that are currently going through the area. A few of them have been associated. You have a severe thunderstorm warning just south of the tip of New York, so around Peekskill, just right around the Connecticut border, so around the Peekskill area, just around south of the 84 exit off of I-87 and the Taconic Parkway, so just east of the Hudson River. There is a severe thunderstorm warning right around I-95. Those storms are going to be coming through for you. There might be some storms coming through over in the New Jersey area around 8, 9 o'clock tonight. So I said from around 9 o'clock on, start watching in our area. You may go back to around 8:30, but definitely you're going to want to watch in our area around that. So I wanted to bring that up with the tornado warnings and everything involved with that. Okay. So anyway, you can kind of see storms kind of push through, and we're done by the overnight hours in New York City. Thunderstorms will transition to showers overnight, and then we'll be done by Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon. High pressure builds. I want to bring up the 500 millibar map here so you can kind of see what's going on. All right, so here's the GFS look. High pressure builds. We still have some frontal action going on. There's a front that will push to the north. We could see thunderstorms on Thursday. It's not out of the question. Then after that, this ridge starts to build north. And as you see, Rosa kind of pushes in. So Derek, there's going to be some rain out there for you. And there could be some about 2 to 4 inches, maybe a bit more of flooding out there. Well, I'll go to that in about a second. But looking as we get into the latter part of this week into next week, this ridge really builds. And the reason why is because we have that strong upper level low in the west, and we have Leslie kind of just sitting out there having a good tropical time in the Atlantic. So as this ridge builds, it's going to force warmer than normal temperatures, above average temperatures than what we would experience. Now, Enzo, a viewer of mine on the Pain Train Pipe Bomb, Ricky's and Melissa's and everybody's, asked me a question about it a few weeks ago. He asked me and said, well, Sean, why do the severe weather end at the beginning of October? Are we done? No, we are not done. And what you've seen is why. Because sometimes you can get warmer than average temperatures, and sometimes severe weather season exists even into the beginning of November. Most of the time it dies around us by then, but just want to point that out. It's not over yet. All right, and now a ridge builds in the east, as I said before. This will mean warmer than average temperatures, and the GFS getting to some crazy heights here, 591, which is very high heights in the atmosphere. That means generally a lot of sinking air, so that's something we're going to definitely want to watch as we go along. Now, the one thing I do want to pull up, I'll pull up the 2-meter temperature anomaly, so you can kind of see the average temperatures on average, how we are departing from below and above average. So as if I pull this north, okay, you could see around New York City and Long Island as that ridge stays in place. This is going on October 8th. It has us 4 to 6 degrees above average. Some areas in New Jersey about anywhere about 10 to 12 degrees above average. And that continues all in the Midwestern states as well. So this is something that we want to watch out for out there as well. And as you can see, as we continue through all of next week, later part of next week, has New York in our area above 10 to 12 degrees above average. and that continues until we even into the October 13th weekend. So this is something that we're definitely going to have to peek at. I'm going to have to watch as we go along. And looking at the 2 meter temperature contours, I'm going to run this from about Monday here, where on Monday we have highs starting at 68, which is pretty normal for us. Maybe a little bit higher than average. But then on Tuesday, we jump quickly to 78, which is higher, about 5 degrees, as I said below. On Wednesday, we touch 80. On Wednesday, we touch 80. And then on Thursday, it puts us in the mid-80s. So these are like early September temperatures rather than late October temperatures in the eastern states. So this is something. And then on Friday, again, don't look at this as too serious, has us up at 88 degrees, which is way above average. It's like 15 degrees above average for us. Even more so, about 15 to 20 degrees above average at this time. So that is absolutely incredible what it wants to do as far as temperatures. At least this is the GFS's depiction of it as we would start later this week, more next week, around us more next week. So I would say the real time you would feel it is probably anywhere from Tuesday onward. You would probably feel that. If this comes to fruition, which it looks like it's going to, we're going to get a strong ridge. I just don't know if we're going to really get up to 88. I think we'll be at least in the low 80s. That will be something we will want to look at as we go forward into next week. Also, I want to talk about the tropics. Okay, early next week, I do expect that we will have room for something tropical to develop. Now, I can't show you guys the paper models because the paper models are not being able to be shown. I can't show them. There's no licensing on them. Can't show them here. However, we do have a situation where through next week, we'll have a ridge, an upper level ridge in the eastern states, and I will pull up to what I can show you on the winds here. Let's see. Let's get a good height here. Let's go to the upper dynamics. So just give me a second. Okay. We will have a calming of the upper winds some point into next week. I think we will definitely have a calming of the upper level winds some point in the next week. And we will have an area of low pressure that will develop, and that will allow it, with the weakening of the upper level winds, to give itself some time to get something developing in the Gulf of Mexico. I definitely think that we might have a tropical storm going into next week. As you can see, it does a bunch of weird things. If it would develop or track depends on how strong the ridge is, depends how strong. It also, if I can go up a little bit, I can show you guys that we may have, the European model was predicting that there could be a trough out, that may be a weak trough in the southern part as we deal with that ridge in the southern part of the United States. So that may hinder development. But at the same time, I do definitely think that there will be a 3-day window that we could get a tropical storm that may develop along somewhere in the eastern part of the Gulf of Mexico. So that's something we're going to want to watch. It kind of, the GFS gets one going here. Again, whether this actually amounts to anything is at this point, I can't tell you for sure anything at this point, but just an idea that keep in the back of your head that we're not done with hurricane season, even at the slightest. The GFS does something kooky here and develops something and then takes it out after it hits the Florida coastline. But again, this is not necessarily, this is not locked in to happen at all. I'm just saying we're going to watch for development in the Gulf next week. Otherwise, in the tropics, going all the way back, showing you what's going to happen with, in terms of Rita, the tropical system out in the Pacific. This is going on to Wednesday, October 3rd. The rains that Derek got down there. Hey, bro, what's up? So the rains that Derek got down there with, in all terms, to Rosa, not Rita. I don't know what I'm saying. Rosa. So he got some rains down there. That's now going to come up and that's going to affect our area going forward, and that will eventually push that ridge into the east and then push that upper level trough into the west. So a quick overview of the east. The rest of this week, let me pull up the thermodynamics. Okay, I think for most part, running at least into Friday, and we're going to run this kind of into Friday here, we'll sit highs. It'll be a little bit warmer than average. I think on Wednesday we'll have a chance to hit into the low 80s. So I think the low 80s will be, that could happen going into about Thursday. And then on Friday, I think we cool down as we have another chance for, pull this up on the 500, maybe a little bit of a front to come through. We cool down to about average temperatures. Then as we get into the beginning of next week, that's when I think we're going to be able to warm up again. We have this strong area of high pressure that develops right off the eastern seaboard, right along the eastern seaboard, I should say, not off it. And then because of what happened with Rosa and this strong upper level low, we will start getting temperatures, I think, in the high 70s probably into the beginning of next week, and then we will hit the 80s at the end of next week. So I think we are going to have a warmer than average week, definitely going into past Tuesday of next week. So that's going to be something we're going to have to look at. And we could have 10 to 15 degrees above average. So that's that, depending on how strong this is. I would say 5 to 15 right now. Leave it wide open, to draw wide open. I think in the Midwest it'll get warmer before we do, but we will get warmer probably Tuesday into next weekend, Tuesday into Saturday of next weekend, and we will also be warm Tuesday into Thursday of this week. Other than that, I don't see any stormy weather until probably want to go with Friday in our area, unless you're talking northerly in the area. Anyway, taking a peek out to the west. The western states, it's a bit of a different story. In the western states, I think that running into Tuesday into Wednesday, I definitely think, Derek, you're going to get a lot cooler. I think you're going to get a lot cooler. Hold on, give me 1 second. I have to go and get my power wire. So just bear with me for 1 second. You guys are going to be in the black for about 1 second. I'll be right back. Otherwise, I'm going to lose you guys completely. All right, I am coming back right now. I'm just plugging myself in before we avert total disaster. The West, we are coming right now with the West. All right, let me get myself plugged in here. Okay, beautiful. All right, so we are back. So now the western part of the United States here, all right, I definitely think that right now, I'm thinking more or less that you're going to majorly cool down. You're going to get a major cool down in the west. All right, so let me jump back here, and I'm going to explain why by turning on the upper level dynamics. And let me blow this up a little bit more, because I don't think the view is that great right at this point. All right, I want you to tell me, guys, if you don't see anything, because that means I have to adjust the camera a little bit. All right, so in the west, we're having this upper level low, and this is what drove Derek's rains, okay? This is what we call a cutoff low, because the cutoff flow is separated from the original jet stream to the north. Thus, we're cutting off flow and creating a separate flow. That flow took Rosa into where Derek was, all right? So this is now, you have this strong trough generally meaning cooler temperatures, and what's going to happen is you'll have some active weather along, along the southeastern Arizona, up into areas, Colorado, up into Montana and Wyoming. So we're going to definitely want to watch those areas entirely. Pulling up the thermodynamics here, you could see. Look at those lows that the GFS has on Thursday in Arizona. Okay, now Derek, that is low for the Phoenix area. Now, generally desert, you do cool down at night, you warm up in the morning, it's a beach climate, this is what happens, okay? That can happen with the Phoenix area. But some of these lows, some of those lows down there, let me focus this in a little bit. All right, there's some lows, anywhere you see those yellows and oranges, that we could see some lows in the 60s and 70s, and the high going only up to about 74 to 79 in the Phoenix area, maybe a little bit higher, maybe 80, 82 in the Phoenix area, which is cooler for that area. And if we take this further north into the Wyoming area, we're going to be dealing with temperatures that you may not get out of the 60s around that time. Into some of the areas of Wyoming, California coast, you're cool, you're average. This is not really going to affect you if you're on the California coast. But if you're in the Phoenix area and you're in interior areas, down in Las Vegas, 61, down in 861 is a high, around 60 to 70 degrees around Vegas, and around 85 in Phoenix. So this is cooler than average temperatures here. And let me fast forward this to Friday, 82. This is just what one of the models are putting out. 85. So again, cooler than average temperatures and way cooler if you're farther to the north trip. You're not going to escape out of the 40s, I don't think, until you get to maybe some part later into next week. I don't think you'll escape out of the 40s. And you're going to get that winter-like air coming in from the Montana area. So this is something that we definitely have to watch going forward in these areas. If I bring up the precipitation and moisture, I can kind of show you what's going on here. All right, so you can kind of see that trough, the way the storms are tracking. They're going farther to the south, which is indicative of that trough, bringing some of the rains to the northern Arizona area, Flagstaff. That pushes up. You get a strong storm. That's the remnants of Rosa, that strong storm. Not the remnants of Rosa, excuse me, that's a different storm. This is Monday, October 8th. Another strong storm pushes north. That trough energy really helps fire up that storm. That's another storm that can fire up. We could be dealing with thunderstorms in the Kansas area. So Aldalpe, we're watching you out there in the Kansas area. That is something we definitely have to watch going out forward. And you can see this line. This is indicative of thunderstorms along the cold front going into some part in the next week. That's something we'll have to watch. But definitely a major pattern change going on in the West, and we're getting that refocusing now. This make me happy. All right, so that's definitely something we have to watch. We're going to warm up in the East. They're going to cool down in the West. This is a very meridional pattern, as we call it in meteorology, where we have a lot of activity. We have like almost a strong S-curve, inverted S-curve pattern, like a strong U pattern. That's what we call meridional. I'll show you guys on the 500, and then I want to bring up one more thing before we put this to a close. So I'll show you guys what the meridional pattern looks like. All right, so you can kind of see that U, and then the upside down U. This is meridional, textbook. And generally, if you get a meridional pattern, somebody's getting thunderstorm, because you're going to have strong upper level flow, and that generally settles around the Kansas area. Which is why most of the time in the spring, this is what we call Tornado Alley. That is why, because most of the pattern sets up there. So that's generally the indicative area for tornadoes. Just to give you guys a lowdown on that. All right. So to end this, guys, check out our tribals. Definitely at 10:30 tonight. I'm not sure if they're taking calls. They generally do. Ricky and Aldalpe, they do a fantastic job. If you love football, check it out, share it, watch it. They do better job than any of the NFL commentators I ever see, or anybody ever sees. They do a fantastic job. Okay, Ricky knows his stuff. Alex knows his stuff. They really keep it interesting and entertaining, and they love to listen to your views, and we love you to listen to theirs. So definitely check them out at 10:30. All right. My show will be back on Friday. I was sick. I was a little bit slowed down this weekend. I was still playing a little bit of catch up, but already had the ideas that I wanted to present to you on Friday, but I'm presenting them to you today. All right. Going forward, Pain Train Pipe Bomb, Thursday, 7 o'clock, 7:30. That will be our one show now. We are now doing one show. So be sure to check that out. I give my live forecast there. I will be open to any of your questions as well. If you have a question about the weather, send it to me in my private messenger. I will be happy to listen, but watch this first. All right? I don't want to get a question about, okay, what was the forecast in New York? And then people are not watching the video. All right? You have to watch the video. That's why it's here. Be sure to share, comment, and like. And definitely like the Pipe Bomb. They do a fantastic job. Every Thursday, Adult Satire Show, be sure to watch. And watch the Derek Relaford Show Sunday through Wednesday. They talk about a lot of current events. And that is from about 10:30 on p.m. All right? So, guys, peace out. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to share, like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And watch Arch Rivals tonight. Thank you. Peace out.